Welcome to the Hutchinson House. I'm Leah Marlene. Let's get right into it. The View still cannot figure out why Donald Trump won. They still cannot figure out why this whole identity politics is a real thing that they created, not just a term that the Republicans came up with, like they like to say. And it's something that they've created, which is a bit of a monster. Now it's attacking and turning on them, and they're attacking and turning on each other. Because, see, when you focus on negativity, negativity grows. And that's what this show has become all about, the one view, the one negative view. And if you veer from that, like Alyssa, you'll see, is starting to sort of wake up and veer a little away from the blame game. And Sunny Hostin is not having it. She's like about to backhand her because she wants her to get in line. You have got to follow our orders. The View reminds me of why I've lost some friends of 20 years, because I decided, hey, I'm allowed to have a view. And they are so hypocritical, these people on The View. And people often who have that kind of ideology, unfortunately, are very hypocritical. Here I am, a single mom, businesswoman, entrepreneur, but I didn't count when they were on the Women's March because I wasn't super excited about abortions. I mean, it's just absolutely hypocritical. But let's watch The View begin to implode on each other as they cannot figure this thing out. They want to blame everybody, everything, except for looking at maybe what they did that could have maybe helped Kamala, or maybe what they did that actually hurt her, or what Kamala did that actually hurt her. So let's take a look.
Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski have spent a long time warning about you-know-who poses a dangerous threat to the future of democracy. So this morning, they surprised a lot of viewers.
First of all, they will not get off of that. They keep saying that he poses a threat to democracy. Now, that is a threat to democracy. We had Donald Trump for 4 years, Whoopi. He's not a threat to democracy. You, by the way, worked at his casino 4 times. You've mentioned that many times until you decided that you didn't like him because of his political agendas and because maybe somehow it was going to harm the money in your pocket. I really don't know what the big issue is or who's paying you to say these things, the big global elite. But he is not a threat to democracy. But by you guys continuing to say that, that's actually dangerous. He is the president-elect, and you've got to stop with that rhetoric.
When they talked about how they spent the weekend, take a look.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time
I have to stop really quick. We got to back it up and look how excited she is. I mean, these guys can't even have a poker face. These are like the worst of the worst. MS, DNC, and The View have just absolutely lost their mind, and they have no journalistic integrity whatsoever. It is all 100% opinion-based. I mean, look at her. She gets disgusted when she even says it.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Oh, look at her. She's so proud of that. All we've done for 7 years is spew lies about him. No, we would never dare talk to him. We would never dare actually seek the source of the facts. We just make up lies about the source. Look at her.
Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
What a novel idea. Is that just amazing? I did a short about this, and it's just mind-blowing that they would think to talk to the source instead of just make up lies about the source. Unbelievable.
So is this the approach that is going to work with
It would work, Whoopi, if you actually talk to people instead of just make up lies about them and keep spewing this rhetoric that's actually very dangerous. How about stop insulting the vast majority of Americans and really discover why so many people voted for him?
The gentleman who campaigned on calling the media the enemy of the people.
So I actually think it was the right thing to do. And I've heard a lot of folks on the left coming after Joe and Mika saying, don't normalize him. Well, 75 million plus American voters normalized Donald Trump by making him President-elect Donald Trump. In this notion that if sort of the resistance who opposes him stayed in their safe bubbles, sat on their hands and just complained about him for 4 years, that would have a bigger impact than sitting down. I talked to Mika, actually. They met with him for over 90 minutes. They raised very valid concerns. They both see themselves as opinion journalists who want to actually be able to engage the person that they talk about every day, actually be able to raise issues with them when they're concerned. And in the same way that I thought it was right for Joe Biden to meet with him, and that I think it's right for presidents to meet with foreign adversaries to try to find diplomatic relations and ways to bring people together and solve problems. This is absolutely the right thing. I would sit down with Donald Trump. I would interview Donald Trump. And I'll go a step further. I hope good people work for him. We need to stop demonizing people because they supported a man who just became president of the United States. We should hope good people are around him and smart journalists are challenging him.
Oh boy, they are going to be hating her real soon because she is really like, I don't even like to use the word waking up or woke or anything like that because they stole all those words, right? But she is seeing the light. Alyssa is seeing the light and they're going to smack it out of her.
Well, look, there is a sobering reality, right? And nothing that he is doing, as concerning as I find it and disturbing as I find it, should be shocking because he told us he was going to do these things. Yeah. He was surrounded by the people he's appointing, and he is keeping to his word. And people voted for him knowing that. And so,
yes, because he is a man of his word. And when he says that he's going to fix something, he actually fixes it. And when he says that he's going to help and support and protect the American people, he actually does that. He doesn't just turn around and stab a knife in our back, and open up the borders and say that criminals get full reign. These are the reasons why people voted for him. Because he is a man of his word, and his shadow self, the part of him that people don't like, he puts that on display too. So he's real. He's absolutely real, and people want the real. They don't want to be told what to think anymore. They don't want to be shamed for thinking anymore. They want to just be allowed to think and to see what is actually present instead of just smoke and mirrors, Hollywood production, big fake, and then nobody knows what's going on until they can't afford milk and bread anymore and they feel unsafe in their home and they're like, wait, what just happened? Oh, this is Bidenomics? Oh, crap.
It's hard. It's a sobering truth. It's hard to reconcile that with what we have been doing for the last 8 years. I will never sit with him. I don't think I'm going to have to. I don't think I'm going to have to make a decision because I don't think I'm ever going to get invited.
No, I don't think that he would ever invite you. Why would he invite you? That's it's just a horrible stance to take that you don't even want to learn from somebody. You don't even want to learn. You just have decided you don't like them and then you're never going to talk to them. That is a bully standpoint. No, I don't need to ever talk to that person. So-and-so told me not to like them. So of course I don't like them. I'm not going to talk to them. That is bully. That is complete schoolyard bully. It's absolutely childish. It's not how to conduct yourself as a full-grown adult.
And listen, the truth of the matter is, as we know around this table, that it is hard to criticize and denounce the abuses of power by Donald Trump when he is president. We have been there before. Mm-hmm. It means threats. It means death threats. It means retribution against your family. It means crazy things showing up at your house.
Those are the crazy people, okay? So now you can admit that there are criminals and crazy people in the world. So why can't you admit that there are criminals and crazy people that have been coming in as well into the borders. And there's criminals and crazy people who believe you guys when you say Donald Trump is Hitler and he's a threat to democracy. There are crazy people who are going to take that literally and try to assassinate the guy. That is absolutely dangerous. And you are perpetuating that.
Means
He's a man of his word. He's always kept his word. We do know what he's going to do. He said it 5,965 times or more. And so why are you so surprised? Just like you said about the cabinet picks, everyone keeps acting so surprised about the cabinet picks. These are people who he campaigned with. Kamala's biggest mistake, I think, in how she lost the campaign is she kept encouraging her voters to go watch his rallies. She's like, go watch his rallies. I was like, yes, please do. Please go watch him and listen. And you will be amazed at what he is saying and how many lies Kamala has been saying about him. And I think maybe that's what happened. People did go to his rallies. They took her up on the offer and they're like, wait a minute, this makes total sense. This is actually more in alignment with what my values are. Wait a second, I want to be safe. Wait a second, I want to provide for my family. Wait a second, I want all Americans to succeed, including the immigrants coming over, but I want them to come over legally so that we can all succeed. Wait a minute, I should vote for Donald Trump. I think that might have been what happened.
commits abuses of power.
And that's why they don't want anyone talking to Donald Trump. That's why they don't want anybody giving interviews to him. That's why they didn't want him to have any kind of platform. That's why they hate Elon Musk, because he gave him a platform. If he had no voice, then he has no way to communicate. But see, all of us should be scared of that. We should all want freedom of speech, because the minute we take away our freedom of speech, our freedom of thought, what are we? We're just robots. We are slaves.
I'm not afraid. You have the conversations or nothing happens.
Oh, here comes Sunny. Here comes Sunny Hostin. She's like, okay, you're not my friend anymore, and neither is Alyssa. And I'm going to scratch your eyeballs out in the green room. Let's hear.
Talking? Well, okay. Look, the bottom line is that America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power right now, more than ever. And I think that we have to be very clear-eyed when we think about the president-elect and cover the president-elect. And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring to be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story. So maybe they're not journalists in the true sense. Maybe they're saying that they're opinion journalists. But we have to remember that Trump is the guy who ushered in the era of fake news.
Oh, Sunny, he is the guy who made us aware of the fake news. But actually, many of us already were aware of it, because people like me, I actually have a journalism degree, surprisingly. And I laugh just because I was never really interested in journalism. I just wanted to do it because the school I went to didn't have a film degree, and I was interested in directing and acting and editing. And anyway, in journalism school, you were not allowed to give your opinion. You would have an F on your paper or a video project or anything like that. So I was always shocked when news started switching into the opinion base. And I stopped watching the news 20 years ago when I first moved to LA, because it was like so much fear all the time. I could barely live. And so I stopped watching the news. I only started watching the news again when Obama was running, and I started listening to him because I really wanted to like him. And then I was like, wait, he's lying. I started paying attention to stuff, and I was like, wait, this isn't good. What is happening? And then I started listening to Trump, and I started listening to the news again. And it was terrifying to find all this propaganda and stuff that we had been taught in middle school. And I mean, I'm aging myself, but like in middle school, we learned about propaganda and communism and all of that. And this is what it looks like a lot. It's like divide and conquer, make everybody the enemy. suppress people, suppress freedom of speech. I mean, this is what is happening. And Donald Trump exposed it. So he didn't create it, Sonny. He exposed it.
President-elect, I hate to say it, would like nothing more than to have only Fox News cover him, would like nothing more than a state-sponsored media.
No, not true. Actually, he's even put Fox News on blast, Sonny. If you watched anything of what he said, you would know that what you're saying just doesn't line up. If you had any journalistic integrity, but I know this show is just like supposed to be like a fun show talking about the one view that you guys are all supposed to maintain. But yeah, no, he's even put Fox on blast. He'll put anyone on blast because Fox wasn't covering him. They were covering Oprah a bunch. And he was like, what is that? They always say that they're so pro-Trump, but they're not really covering me. Trump has been like on his own in many ways. Yeah, Fox has given him a lot of coverage, but it's not all about Fox. That's what the American people voted for Trump, because he was against all odds, against all media. And yeah, again, Fox has supported him, but not fully, not the way that the mainstream media has supported Kamala. I mean, give me a break. Now, Bill Maher is one of those people who is sort of an anomaly, because sometimes he really gets it. And you're like, Bill Maher, just go MAGA already because you get it. And then he takes a nosedive and like all of a sudden he's like, nope, I'm full liberal. Totally don't understand anything I just said myself, which is, it's really funny, but let's watch.
Wall Street Journal claims that the shift to the right in this election reveals that Americans view themselves as belonging to a particular economic class more than their race and gender. And Bill Maher said it's not the only thing Democrats got wrong. Take a look.
Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did? Asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. They don't want your pity. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
Because she didn't actually have policies to help the working class. I know, I'm working class, Whoopi, and many people are working class, and she didn't have policies that would help us. She actually had policies that would hurt us. Big time policies that would absolutely hurt us. And Trump had policies that will absolutely help us. Closing down the border, making crime a lot less, right? A lot less crime in the streets, a lot less fentanyl in the streets. That is a lot more peace of mind for moms like me who are walking along the street and we see people literally dying in the street in fentanyl overdoses and carjackings and assaults. Trump spoke to these policies that are going to help remedy those situations. Regulations on the farmers, helping to make food costs come down. That's something Kamala never understood. Her plan was to attack the grocery store. That is not why food costs are high. His approach was to use our natural resources so that we can have less expensive gas, so that the gas isn't just for your car. By the way, this is for the trucks to transport goods and services. People forget all about this. These are all the reasons and more why people voted for Trump. And these were everything that Kamala had the opposite of. Everything was the opposite of. Everything was going to make the majority of American people pay way more money and not be able to afford living and not be safe. Hello, Whoopi.
know that as a country, it's very difficult for people to believe that racism and misogyny, they're just alive and well. I think that we don't want to think that about ourselves, our neighbors, our friends. But it's my lived experience tells me that it does still exist, even if your lived experience doesn't tell you that it exists.
She is so condescending. She's like, this is the way because I say it's the way. I'm the queen. The reason why she said, you know, that you have to kiss Trump's ring or whatever is because that's how she thinks people should think of her. These people, they project. It's narcissism at its finest. Sunny is projecting how she thinks other people are. See, she thinks racism and misogyny is alive and well because she's brewing it and fueling the fire all the time. She's focused on it all the time. And if you don't experience that, you're wrong, is what she says. If you don't experience that, she's going to make you experience that, she says. I mean, this is the danger of this type of thinking. It's very victim mentality. It's very dangerous. And whatever you focus on will grow. So if I was focused every single day on misogyny, it'll grow. Yeah, I've met some jerky people. I've met some jerky dudes. I've met some jerky women of all different types, right? If I focus on that, I'm going to find more and more and more of that. Absolutely. I did a lot of narcissism research, and then suddenly everybody around me was narcissists because whatever you focus on grows. So then I stopped talking about that so much, but this is absolutely narcissism.
And, you know, the facts support that. I think we have a graph. If you look at there's a clear racial divide in who voted for Trump as opposed to who voted for Kamala Harris. It's very clear. It's not only clear by race, but it's also clear by education. And
see, and that's really insulting too. That graph, by the way, is so garbage. Where did they get that graph from anyways? But let's go along with their graph. And it basically says that the most educated, you know, if people have gotten a degree higher than bachelor's and, you know, doctorate and whatever, so on and so forth, then they voted for Kamala. And I would argue that that's just because the indoctrination in the college system is so thick. You almost don't even have a choice. You have to. I mean, look at what Charlie Kirk has done on the college campuses. Most college campuses nowadays are completely left-leaning. And if you have any idea in your head besides that, you could like get kicked out of school. Professors, I know scientists who were scientists at Harvard and Yale and big time schools, Ivy League schools, and they were kicked out, thrown out. They were fired. I know veterinarians fired for having new evidence that points to something else that doesn't adhere with the left ideology. It's very, very dangerous. It's very scary. It's not how I went to school 310 years ago, but that's how school is now. That's why I tell my daughter, who's only 8, you don't have to go to college unless you're going to become a doctor, lawyer, scientist, which unfortunately you do have to go to school for that. Otherwise, just start your own business, make your own money, and be way ahead of the game, because the educational system is broken in the fact that it's like the View, one view, majority of them. And so I think that's why they found more statistics leaning towards people that voted Kamala, all, you know, with college degrees and higher.
And so the notion somehow that is not true. This is by education. Those who attended college voted for her at a higher degree than those that didn't.
But I
and
think
I've
you're
said
missing
that.
his point.
Let me just
Okay.
finish. And so I've said that before, and there was so much backlash because I think it's an uncomfortable, inconvenient truth about
But
this
his
country.
whole point is they
No, look,
didn't vote for
like, I'm right. No, it's not an inconvenient truth. It's your truth. And look at her. Her shoulders are all caved in because she's just rigid and mad and rude. And she wants to backhand Alyssa for even speaking up right now. She's like, Alyssa, you better not say a damn thing.
for him because they didn't vote for him because of racism and misogyny. They voted for him because they felt like, I think the biggest common denominator in this election is people want a good life and ability to provide for their family.
Well,
and whether we agree or not with Donald Trump's plans,
Black people
they thought that
the
he was
one of the
reflective.
poorest demographics in this country, but they voted for Kamala Harris.
But there was a
Look at how, so sorry, she's like so upset. Look at, and by the way, there are a lot of poor white people. They just don't count for anything. Look at Theo Von's joke. It's hilarious. He has a very funny joke about white privilege. I'm not going to reiterate it right now. I almost did, but I would just butcher it. Just go look it up. He's so funny. But that's exactly it. A lot of white people are very poor, but they're just discounted. They don't count for anything, which also really sucks, and it's not fair.
And more of them voted for Donald Trump than had historically. I think that there's such a desire. If you really think the vast majority of this country voted because of racism and misogyny, you're missing it. Most of my family, a lot of my family doesn't have college degrees.
But the stats are the stats.
But that's not, it doesn't say I'm white, I voted for Donald Trump because of racism.
Exactly. I'm white, I voted for racism. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But this is, I've lost friends over this. Let me know. What do you think? I think there's no getting through to Sunny Hostin. No getting through to her. She's gone. She hates Donald Trump. She has full Trump derangement syndrome. So does Whoopi, I think. Maybe they'll help themselves out of it. Let's look at this interview with Morning Joe and see how that goes at Mar-a-Lago. That's going to be interesting. But, you know, Trump is a man of class, and he treats people very, very well. And the fact that he even took that interview, I'm just like, I'm so enamored really with his choices, because he is a very smart businessman and he's already helping to make America great again. I know when I heard the news that he was president-elect, it was like a peace, and a solid peace and foundation came over. Like I could feel it, but I could also see and feel the people who were spinning out. I still have Facebook friends who are like, unfriend me if you even are fascist, you know, this and that, and name calling and all this stuff. And I just ignore it. I mean, maybe I should unfriend them, but I'm like, I'm not going to play that little game with you. I just send them love and I scroll along. But it's gotten pretty bad out there. Has it gotten bad for you? Let me know. And if you found value in this video, please do subscribe. Otherwise, I'll call you a misogynist, okay? See you next time.